Welcome to the Artella Podcast, where we learn from and share perspectives from other creatives all over the world. Today's podcast is with Tom Sanocki, CEO and co-founder of Limitless Entertainment, a new VR company focused on immersive story experiences. Tom was formerly with Pixar Animation Studios for 11 years as a technical character lead, working on such films as Finding Nemo all the way through to The Good Dinosaur. He was most recently at Bungie, working as a technical art lead on the massive hit Destiny. I was fortunate enough to pin him down for a conversation to help shed more light on the exciting world of VR. I'm really excited to hear about your journey in starting Limitless Entertainment and what made you start that. Can you tell me a little bit about what made you want to do that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. The story starts a little while ago because I started out writing computer games when I was a kid. I started when I was 8 years old, and I did it on the side all the way through school. I would get up in the morning and do it before school and do it on the weekends. And the thing I loved about computer games is the ability to create a world, a virtual world that you could explore and be excited in. And I thought I'd do computer games throughout my life after I graduated from college, but I ended up doing animated film instead. Because when I caught animated film and I saw Toy Story, that's was using computers to create a world and tell stories in it. Like, that was really exciting. And so I did Pixar for 11 years, character lead for that time, and working on films from Finding Nemo all the way through Good Dinosaur. And then I went to Bungie and worked on video games. Just another way of, kind of going back to my roots in some ways about, creating universes for people to explore, and this time, interactively. And VR is great, and I'm excited about VR because it combines the best of those two things. Like, we can tell the stories in a way that we've learned how to do in film, and it's interactive the way a video game is. But even more exciting to me is that you are in the world. You feel like you're there. You're in the story. You're not observing the story. You're not, controlling it. You are actually there. And that is a world that we've never explored before, and it has enormous potential. And I want to discover all the things that we don't yet know about how you tell stories when you're in the middle of the story.
What was your first experience with VR, and can you tell me what that did for you? I'm curious.
Yeah, I first got interested in VR through my friend Max Planck, who I worked with at Pixar for many years. He's at Oculus Story Studio as their main technical director, and he sent me a DK1. He let me borrow it for a bit when he was talking to me about joining his VR film startup. And I pulled up Titans of Space, the DK1 demo. And I was sitting in a spaceship, and there were planets all around me, and I could see how big Jupiter was, and it was pretty amazing. It was incredible. And this is even though the DK1 was not an amazing experience, but it gave you a taste. I've seen graphics go from 4-color CGA back 25 years ago, all the way to what we have now. And I knew how the graphic progression curve could go, and I could see that it was going to go a lot faster than it did. So from that first experience, I knew that the next one was going to be way better, and the one after that is the one that people will be able to use in their homes. So that made me convinced that this VR thing is a real thing, and it's going to happen fast.
You've done films, you've done amazing films, you've done incredible games, and now there's VR. Like, what's making you go, I'm going to leap over into this new thing, this new uncharted territory?
Well, I got into animated film around Finding Nemo, and I got into video games at the beginning of Destiny. So both great times to get into film and video games. But it wasn't the very beginning, very beginning of video games. If I'd gone in at Doom or Quake, that would have been an amazing experience, watch an industry rise and be at the beginning to solve some of those key problems. And, same thing with animated film. It'd be awesome to be there at Toy Story or before Toy Story. That's where we are with VR. VR is a once every 2 lifetime opportunity. There's nothing that's going to come and change the world the way VR will, especially the world of entertainment and communication. And it's just the right time to go into it. I don't want to miss this opportunity and have tell my grandkids that I thought about doing something but decided not to.
Well, one thing that we don't know a lot about Limitless Entertainment yet, we know that it's new. and there's a very enthusiastic leader behind it, which is to me very, very exciting. And it's getting me super pumped because I know what you're capable of, and that's exciting. And I'm curious what if you can talk about what your vision is for Limitless Entertainment. Is it there's a lot of people doing games with VR. There's some people now doing story with VR, and I'm kind of curious if you could talk about what your vision is for VR.
Yeah, absolutely. We are intentionally trying to stay quiet for a little while because we want to work on some things that are not quite ready to show people yet. But what we're building at Limitless is VR characters, interactable, believable characters that will actually respond in VR in a way that feels real, and we're going to be telling stories with them. VR gives us the potential for so much with characters, and it gives us the potential for having a character feel like they're right next to you. You can use all the great hand tracking hardware to interact with them. You can, we use our hands when we communicate. We use our hands to interact with people. We use our voice to interact and communicate with people. Putting that into a CG character will be amazing, and that's what we're going to build. That's going to be the core of all of our experiences. I have a long background in characters, both at Pixar and at Bungie, so I care very deeply about this, and that is what we will build, and that's going to be the thing that is going to be distinct about our products we build. Storytelling is super important. We want storytelling to be take place with you in the middle of the story, and we want to give you interesting characters to interact with, and that technology is something that we will use to build a business around and allow other people to share our technology and build believable characters for their own projects.
No, I'm not sure if you can talk about this, but I'm really curious about the platform or platforms you intend to deliver your VR experiences from. Right now there's the headset. That's kind of what people are thinking about when they think about VR, and that's awesome. And a lot of people are thinking, it's not quite ready yet because you have to wear this cumbersome thing on your head. I don't want to go to a movie theater eventually and put on this giant headset thing and interact with it. Some people are playing with, like the Spotlight stories, you can interact in some kind of virtual experience with your phone, and some people are doing it with iPads. And I'm curious, what is your take on that and what you think about the big headset stuff?
We are going to ship on multiple platforms because, our technology supports that. There's a lot of great off-the-shelf stuff that you can use, but that's not quite sufficient. You need to know how to build content and technology for multiple platforms. And at Bungie, we built, a major video game that ran on 4 platforms, 2 of which were 10 years old. And we managed to make the games look and feel almost identical on all those platforms, leaving aside some graphic features that you couldn't put in, 10-year-old Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s. But the game felt and it was the same experience for all 4. So we're going to take that talent and apply it to VR. So we'll be able to build an experience that feels the same on all these different platforms, regardless of the graphic and hardware differences. And we believe in multi-platform. I think it makes sense. I want people to choose what fits best for them and provide it for them to use on that medium. Let the user choose. I'm not as concerned about the bulkiness of the headsets because we've shown over and over again that if an experience is amazing enough, people will put up with a lot to deal with it. And sometimes people will pick products that are worse because the experience is worthwhile. I look back to the first iPhone. If you remember that, it wasn't a really great phone. It didn't have copy and paste. It didn't have 3G. It didn't have any apps. It was actually not really good at everything. It wasn't good at typing. There's no keyboard. It wasn't, and it was a lot of folks panned it, including some prominent. There's some prominent people who panned it, and the reason it sold 2 or 3 million units in that first year at $600 each, out of pocket, was because it was magical. There was magic to the iPhone, and being able to touch the screen and manipulate it, that was worth all of the awkward things you had to deal with. And VR has that level of magic, but far more. And we're not going to worry about inconveniences like bulky headsets. And having seen the consumer, the prototypes, the consumer grade hardware, there's good designers behind it. It's going to look cool. It's not going to be too hard in terms of weight or bad balance. And the experience is going to be absolutely worth it. And it's only going to get better from here.
As somebody who has experienced some VR, I've been blown away. I mean, for me, I wore the headset that's got 20 cords coming out of it, and you sit down. I feel like you're completely right. The experience, as crude as it was in the early days, and now seeing how sophisticated it's getting so quickly, I tend to agree with you in that the experience is worth putting something on your head. So now I'm curious for you, having experienced a lot of VR as well, like what is the ideal VR experience to you?
The ideal VR experience is one that feels magical. You feel like you're in the place, you're doing something exciting, you're on a journey, an adventure, you're involved in a story that feels bigger than yourself, and you are, in the moment. I think interactivity is going to be crucial to those ideal moments. I think passive experiences are great. We will do those. They'll be successful. But interacting is what you want in VR. When my mother-in-law tried our prototype, first thing she wanted to do is reach out and touch things. And when I do the dinosaur demos on the Oculus Rift, I always pet the dinosaur, even when I know that even when I do it the second time and I know it's not real, I still go and pet the dinosaur. That's the way to do it. And I think I think compelling stories, that's what's going to bring it to the mainstream. I think that's going to be the ideal that will really bring VR to everybody. A lot of things are going to be successful in VR. There's going to be passive experiences that are going to be great. There's going to be a lot of traditional games that are genres going to be adapted to VR. All that will be successful. The thing that's really going to capture people's hearts is when you have a compelling set of characters, you're on a story, a journey with them, and they make you care.
Well, what do you think right now? What would you say the limitations are of VR, and how do you see those being overcome?
The biggest limitation is that a lot of people have not tried VR. You have to try it to believe it. I can show you a video, I can tell you a story. You're not going to really try it until you believe it. You're not going to really believe it until you try it. So that is our goal. We need to get this in front of other people. We need to have people who are going to love VR but haven't tried it yet actually have that experience. There's hardware limitations and so forth, but those are not really, those can be overcome. We've shown those historically. There's price and what's the market going to be. Yeah, if the experience is good enough, the market will develop. I don't see that as anything but a temporary limitation. We just need to get enough people to try it.
Now, one thing that I'm really curious about, all of us here at Artella are really passionate about distributed studios, the wave of the future. And I was just curious if you could kind of give us some words about where you think that's going, if you believe in it.
I absolutely believe in distributed studios. Limitless will be a distributed studio. We're going to have offices in, at least 2 or 3 places, and we will have absolutely have the opportunity for folks to work remotely via video conference them in, because I believe talent is the most important thing. And a lot of folks say talent's the most important thing, but the question you ask is, what are they willing to do for talent? If you believe someone's super awesome and you hire them on, but they need to move to a different state because of a family situation or their spouse gets a job that they can't pass up, a lot of companies will give them a great goodbye party, and that's it. What I want to do is say, I care enough about talent and I care enough about you that I want you to keep working for me. And I'm going to I don't care about inconveniences like distance and so forth. The technology has developed in the last 2 or 3 years has made a distributed studio not only possible and viable, but actually really good. And that's something that we will absolutely do because talent is that important to us.
What's next for you guys?
We're not announcing anything yet. We have a number of partnerships that we're working on, and we have other things in place. We're very excited to be working on rich, believable, interactive characters and making experiences that are really great, and using that as the way to introduce Limitless to the world. So down the, down the road, we'll definitely be talking more.
Well, thanks again, Tom. I really appreciate your time and just kind of giving us a glimpse into what you're doing with Limitless and some things that we are going to definitely be looking forward to seeing from you guys. So thanks a bunch.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. It's great talking with you, Bobby.
Absolutely. We'll talk again soon.
Talk soon. Thanks.